I'm Amber Fortune, and I'm on the Untold interview.
What's up, Amber?
What's going on? What's going on?
Ah, man, listen, hold up. Why you looking in the camera?
I'm not looking in the camera. I'm looking past the camera.
You gotta
I gotta
look
look.
at me.
I gotta look at you.
I'm keeping that.
Okay.
I'm keeping that. All right, so listen, man, where you from? And what's your name? What's your name?
Well, what's up? Well, of course, you know me. I'm Amber Fortune. I'm from Philly. Born and raised in Uptown Philly, Somerville. You know.
Well, Somerville is Somerville. We consider that uptown.
It is. It's literally across Stanton Avenue.
All right, now hold up. There's a little gap right there. We talking Stanton, like Washington.
I'm talking
Lane-ish?
about Chew and Shelton, from Chew and Shelton all the way up to Shelton and Stanton, basically up by King High School, that
Okay.
area, Auberry, Lonnie Young,
Yeah, we
all
would
that
consider
area.
that.
Yep.
All right, you go to any of the schools back here?
Well, I went to Central.
Ah,
Yeah, but everybody used to think I went to King or something. I guess because I was always with them with my friends growing up or whatever. But no, I went to Central.
Central, man. Who else went to Central? Cassidy.
Yeah. Yep. Good old Lycombe Pike.
Yeah. How was it, in school around that time you was there?
Man, lots of memories for sure. We were like the smart bad kids. I can't call us smart degenerates, but we're like, we teenage shit or whatever.
Yeah, because I know when I went to King, what's that bus? The L bus?
The L bus, yeah. So sometimes I would catch the L bus right there off of like, what is that? Worcester and Shelton, basically, and it takes you down to like Belfield and cuts up, what is that? Church Lane or something like that. Yep.
So, all right, so Worcester, Church Lane, that is uptown too.
Yeah, it is. I'm not sure if they consider that part of the Ville, but I think I consider that Belfield, basically, because, you had Belfield Recreation Center, LaSalle and everything.
Yeah, you did. So, all right, so I know when I went to King, you guys in Central, y'all was labeled like the smart kids in school, but when after school come and y'all go to Broad Knowledge, y'all was bad. Y'all blended in with us.
Right. I mean, so it's like, it's crazy because it's like, King put me on a waiting list.
King?
Yeah, and that was my neighborhood feeder. So out of all the schools in the city, I only got accepted to Central directly. King put me on a waiting list. During that time, I think Germantown High School was closed down and everything. Then I applied for a couple of other schools like Masterman, Northeast, but I was waitlisted. And you know how they only give you 5 schools you could select?
Right.
Yeah, King waitlisted me, Northeast waitlisted me, Masterman waitlisted me, Central said, come on in. And I was like, okay, I'm there.
Wait a minute. You know we talking about King in Germantown.
Yes, that was my neighborhood feeder. I was like raised on the 800 block of the 900 block of Price Street.
That's crazy.
I know, right?
That's
I tell
crazy.
people the story. I think I still got like the whole selection thing from back then. That was a while ago. And I can circle it and show you where it says, you see this? Waitlist. How?
That's wild. Now listen, in Central, what are some of the classes you took?
So I took art history. I was really good at art, fashion design, and stuff like that. So what I would do is I would have these sketchbooks, right? I guess this is where some of the hustle came into play. And I would design like soft hop dresses, homecoming dresses, junior and senior prom dresses, and then sell them off to my peers for like $25, $30 a pop. Take them to your designers and get them made. With all like the metrics and dimensions and everything.
So you was grounded in that hustle coming up.
It's crazy because before I started modeling, I was doing track and field, boxing, and swim team. So I boxed at Lonnie Young, Waterview. My trainers was Mr. Kev, Harold Fulton, Jeff Chandler.
I know him.
Yeah. And then Mr. Harold used to take me around to demonstrations to like Hollow or MLK and stuff like that. I was really good.
That's dope. Boxing. And what you said,
swim team, track and field.
Why didn't you do sports?
I had my son when I was like towards the end of my 11th grade year, basically.
Okay.
So, that diverted things. So I wanted to I'm like, if I have a kid, I'm going to raise him. So I had to put on my big girl drawers and, get the work in.
That's dope. I like that. I like that. So speaking of the hustle, Philadelphia, we got some hustlers here.
We do.
We got some hustlers here, and we got some people that are leaders here.
Yes.
I would say what the Will Smiths. He's a leader because he's
yeah.
considered a leader.
We got Will Smith, Kobe Bryant, The Roots.
People don't know that Kobe's from Philly.
Yes, he's from Philly, West Side, Lower Merion area, but Winfield too, Overbrook, that area.
Yeah.
Who else do we have? Jill Scott, Gamble and Huff, the Philadelphia Music Factory. Teddy Pendergrass, and the list goes on.
Patty.
Who's the guy that just died? They did the big thing for him for the memorial out in New Orleans.
I don't know.
Oh, Frankie Beverly.
Frankly, yes. Yes.
Patti LaBelle.
Could we say Bill Cosby?
Bill Cosby. Yeah. Little Uzi Vert. Rest in peace, PNB Rock. His birthday just passed too, by the way.
Right.
And Gillian Wallow, Meek Mills.
We got a lot.
Exactly.
We have a lot. You missing
State
some
Property.
You missing some movie stars too.
Movie stars. Who am I missing? Hold on, wait. Give me a second. Oh, the chick from Abbott's Elementary.
Pink is from here.
From Philly? I thought she was from Bucks County.
No, Montgomery. I'm sorry. She's from Montgomery.
But isn't Taylor Swift originally from Berks or Bucks County or something like that?
I don't know.
I think so. And then she moved down to Nashville and got her, country music career started. But we also got, what's the guy that played in that movie, Focus? You know exactly who I'm talking about. He was from Glenside.
Okay, the white guy.
What is his name? But you know who I'm talking about. He played in Focus and all that, yeah.
So, we do have a lot of talent, a lot of leaders, man. But why don't Philly get past that hump of success?
Honestly, I really feel as though, and it's crazy because I was just talking to somebody about this the other day or whatever. I guess when people feel like they have roadblocks or challenges versus trying to find ways to overcome or surmount those challenges, they just be like, forget it. I'm going to do something different. Or they'll go outside their city. And that happens a lot. We go outside the city and then we connect with people, strangers that embrace you more than your own, how that saying goes or whatever. But I think the key component that we forget is that, whatever accolades you build from outside of home, bring it back home and then put your city on the map.
Put your city back on.
Exactly.
I totally agree. Now, I don't know if you noticed this. I think I told you this before. The first time I met you, you were, I don't know if you was managing this old guy. He had artists. I think he had money, but he had artists.
Oh, that was my brother. Rest in peace, Dennis Autry. So,
Dennis.
Yeah.
He passed?
He passed back in, I want to say 2018.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
And when I seen you, I remember he was going to start paying me to do the music videos for the artists.
Right. We had our whole label. It's called Full Circle Records. So we had a group of about 12 artists, including Crystal LaLucci.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And her and her sister is down in Atlanta now with the Live with Clarissa show. And then Crystal's doing her thing out in Atlanta. Shout out to her.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Now, listen, when I seen you, I was like, you walked in there fully equipped for business. I mean, you was like paper envelopes. I'm like, who is this girl? And that's when Dennis was like, so you gonna be working with her?
Yeah, I was his label president.
I was like, I'm working with her. I said, this girl look like she's just strictly business. She don't laugh. She don't do nothing.
Because my thing is that people treat studios like it's like a whole social gathering powwow session.
Right.
No, you pay for blocks. Let's get this music done. Anything you want to do after that, you can do after that. But time is money, and we're not going to waste it. I've always been that way.
Exactly, man. So every time I seen you, we cross paths, I'm always looking and you are doing something.
Yeah.
If it's not modeling, you're managing, you're consulting, you're doing something where it's like it's benefiting a brand.
Exactly.
Where do you get that from?
Honestly, I guess it's from the way that I was raised, but also I was raised around in the present and hustling people from my family in itself or whatever. But I've always known for myself, it's like I'm not like a follower, and I had like this whole thing with like, what is it, like something with authority or whatever. I'm like, versus taking directions and they don't make no sense, I'm going to make the directions and make sure it makes sense for everyone.
You don't like authority?
I mean, it's not that I don't like authority or whatever, but if you can find a better way to do things without slowing down the process, then that's what I'm all for. I think my patience, more my tolerance is short that way.
What was your upbringing?
So my upbringing, I was raised I was raised by a single mom, of course, but I was raised with my family off of Sheldon Avenue. We had this like 11-bedroom house, 4.5 bathrooms on a 1/4 acre of land. It's still there. It's the only single house right there on that block.
Wow.
Yep. And so, I was raised around with my grandmother, grandfather, aunts, uncles, cousins. So it's a lot of us. Yep. And actually some stars came off that block too.
Was that Michael Blackson was around there?
Yeah, I think Michael Blackson was around there, but I'm specifically talking about Jonnu Smith. He plays for I think he's back with the Miami Dolphins now. Yep. And we was all raised together from yay high up.
Now, who are some of the artists that you work with, throughout the city?
Some of the artists that it's a lot of them. Some of the artists that I've worked with throughout the city, a list of them. Okay, so I've done the Philly Hip Hop Awards where we presented PNB and Lil Uzi Vert their Philly Accolade Awards right prior to them actually getting on to their label deals, publishing and branding and stuff like that. I've worked with Ines, I've worked with PD Crack, I've worked with Freeway, I've worked with, and that's just, I guess, bigger names you want to say, but I've also worked with Bad Guy Vish, Montana Black, Killer Mine. I've worked with Grand Centennial. Of course, our whole artist group collective with Full Circle Records. There's too many names to name, honestly. And right now I am back into management. So I am managing artists and talent again. And we're going to open up the lane again in 2025 to models. But right now our signed talent is Smooth Aladdin. He's hot. Make sure you guys check him out on all platforms.
Okay.
We have another artist that we work with as well called Mr. Old Shit. Kevin Savage, he's our comedian. He works with Official Peanut, work with Official Peanut as well. And then we have another artist that's managed by the way of We Run the Streets, Marjan the artist. She is super hot. Check her out on all platforms as well.
Damn, that's a great resume.
Oh, that's not even half of it. I think that's just a quarter of it. No, that's not even a quarter of it.
You said one of my sandbox friends, Bad Guy Vish.
Yes, we grew up in the Ville together.
Yeah. Yep. That's my guy, man. Shout outs to Vish, man.
Yeah.
Now, working with these artists comes responsibility.
Yes.
And it comes with personalities.
Yes.
How do you manage?
Well, I take everything that I've learned in my corporate environments and apply it to business. So, if you have customer service experience and you're used to dealing with people from like all walks of life, different facades and things like that, then it's easy enough to deal with artists and things like that. Everybody has a service or something that they need to get out. And then when you're in a position of authority or management or operations development, whatever the case may be, it's your job to say, hey, how do these pieces of the puzzles fit together? And how can we work together to get these projects out efficiently and smoothly and impactfully as possible?
Now, do you have like, when you work with these artists, do you have like a blueprint of how you can get them from this level to that level? Yep.
So what we do is we take what they already have on the table and see, hey, is it at a point where it can be just shined and polished and presented, or do we actually have to put that together? So my thing in regards to operations and development is, of course, putting together a plan. Let's get you some singles out there. Let's get you some promotion and marketing materials out there. Let's get you on press runs and on stages to actually get your brand followed up. And they say the best way to make money is to network, basically, because when you network within environments, then you get other things that you need to get done as well. So we take those pieces, we put them together, and then we also do focus individualization of events and shows for these artists to maximize their platforms, but get the additional resources that they may need as well.
Now, you say we. Do you have a team, or is it you?
So I have a partner that deals strictly with the talent management aspect of it. Her name is Annalisa the Boss, or Annalisa Monroe for Underground Bosses. And then my company is Fortune Entertainment Group that delves in regards to the operations and development of talent.
Now, with all that being said, do you have time for your personal life? That's a long list.
So, there's 168 hours out the week. For my regular, just baseline stuff for myself, I already work 100 hours out the week.
Wow.
Right. And then I still have, the artist, the entertainment company, the different brands, working on nonprofits, and then also myself, because I still have to manage myself as well. So, yeah.
So, after.
So, do I have time? No. But, you make time for the things that you need. So, if there's a will, there's a way.
I agree. I agree. Now, with that being said, when you're managing these artists, right, do they come like with a budget? How do the payout work? So
basically, what I do with anyone that I've worked with, especially over the past 5-6 years, I give them talent management agreements without going into the details of the percentages. Basically, I make sure that it's like, I work for you, you work for me, we mesh cohesively together. So I give them a 2-month trial period of services that we can provide them, support, management, or any additional things that they need. After that, you get a contract. Those contracts last for 2 years, and then we review them. But even prior to you signing a contract for management, development, consulting services, or whatever the case may be, I still give you an additional 72 hours to read over everything. Hey, is there any changes that need to be made? Or review it with your lawyer if you have one, or someone that's good in legal capacity, and then we go from there. And then it's all hands on from there.
Now, do you believe that today's artists need artist development?
Yes.
How serious is that?
Have you seen Sexy Red and Ice Spice and who else? It's a whole bunch of them. I guess the only ones that don't need development is like, the ones that actually have like their team is solid behind them, But yeah, it's like there's no stage presence. There's no etiquette training anymore. There's no professionalism in regards to the way that they present themselves out to the world. It's just basically you're taking somebody and you're just slapping something on them and throwing them out there, and they don't know how to speak, interact, have a presence about themselves. So that's really, really, really important. But also in addition to that, with dealing with singers or even rappers, voice control and breath control, development, things like that. So I do believe in making sure that they have those things that they need, because you can't just, you have a talent, you have a gift, and it's good to get it out there, but you want to make sure that it's out there in a way that's universal, but it's also clean.
Today's female rappers versus 20 years ago, how females presented themselves.
And honestly, that's like music in a whole. 20 years ago, it was read in between the lines, or certain things were implied. And then, 10 years ago was like, okay, it's not as applied as much anymore. Like, what people are talking about. Nowadays, it's literally third grade education. Just throw it right there out in your face. It's like a thing of instant gratification that wasn't there 20 years ago. Like, most artists don't build up a story anymore, or have an air of mystery about themselves. And then with, of course, social media and everything being like right there at your fingertips, there's no filters or censors. So it's great to have a team behind you or people behind you that's going to be like, hey, you can't do this in that way because you have a brand to represent. You're not just representing yourself, you're representing the company as a whole.
I agree. Female rappers, do you think they are exploiting themselves a little too much?
Female rappers have always been exploited. Especially in regards to the rap game, it's always been a male-dominated industry. So even if you think about the female rappers from 20 years ago, was always talking about physical aspects of themselves or selling sex or putting their body on display, basically. And nowadays, it's more so, but it's degraded a lot. Like the female rappers, Foxy Brown or Lil Kim, Eve, Queen Latifah, Rod Digger in that era does not exist anymore. Now you're literally throwing them out there with bras and panties on and barefoot and just saying that they're rappers, and it might not even, and then it's not even benefiting. It's like, honestly, it's contributing to the downgrade of urban youth in our society.
Now, you spoke about Little Kim and Foxy.
I mean, don't get me wrong, they were raunchy, but they weren't raunchy to the point where it's like you didn't really hear them speak or be. I mean, you heard about their little dramas and stuff like that, but not like.
Are we talking about Lil Kim?
We're talking about Lil Kim, the whole Biggie face of it.
Did you see her picture?
Yes.
I think she birthed the ratchetness.
Yeah, so that was the beginning of it.
Wait a minute, hold up. No, Adina Howard.
Okay.
Adina Howard, and then it pretty much led to Little Kim. I think she took it to a different level.
Right.
But she was being guided by
males.
Yeah.
Right. So and it's crazy because the only platform that female rappers have is sex sells. Basically, nowadays, it's like, it's called musical prostitution, I guess, you know? It's like, are you a rapper or are you just are you marketing yourself to the highest bidder in the way of music? Like, label covers. And don't get me wrong, I love Megan Thee Stallion, but one of her last album covers or single covers, fully naked, full-blown naked. Cardi B, full-blown naked.
And they don't leave
nothing to the imagination.
To the imagination.
Exactly. But in comparison to, that Little Kim album cover, I mean, there was stuff still covered up, but you still had some type of imagination about it. Even though she was like the godmother of all the debauchery.
She was. Can female rappers come out and, rap to the same pedigree as the male rapper without taking their clothes off, without putting all of this, junk on?
I mean, in a perfect world, in an ideal world, it would be nice, but unfortunately, that's not how it's been in regards in the history. Like, even if you take Motown and things like that, from the beginning of labels basically being created for musical, women have always been guided by men, but men are visual creatures. So if you want to catch somebody's attention, what you're going to do, you're going to present yourself in a way that's visually appeasing in order to capture that attention and everything. Now, there's a lot of female rappers out here that can go bar for bar with guys, but unfortunately, the way that labels or distribution and things like that work, they don't want to hear mentally conscious things like that or spiritually conscious things like that from female rappers. No, throw on a thong and twerk on stage, and there you go.
Once upon a time, women did not like being called the B word. Right.
Now it's everywhere. I remember when television was censored. You couldn't even curse on TV, and now it's everywhere. I think it's honestly, it's a deteriorate our society. And they say if you want to influence future generations, put it into music or television, basically. And it, because they're the most the most what's the word I'm looking for? Impressionable.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Today's topic: rapper Remy Ma.
Mm-hmm.
And her
She's the reason why I like Remy Martin.
Oh, for real?
The drink, yeah. Yeah,
Ah.
but that's crazy. These past couple of days, I didn't mean to cut you off, but yeah, they've been trending this past week. But I think honestly, everybody been waiting for this all 2024 when she came out with a guy on her battle. What was it? It was like this battle rap
It's called
league she
Chrome
owns.
23.
Yep.
Yep.
And I guess the guy that she's dealing with was battling another guy. Basically, I don't know his name specifically.
Easy to Block Captain versus Geechee Gotti.
Right. So Geechee Gotti calls out Remy Ma for dealing with Easy to Block Captain. Now, everybody feels for Pep, right? Because he held her down for 8 summers and 8 winters while she did her bid and everything like that. And so for it to come out that you're dealing with somebody on your battle league that feels fine to like basically disrespect your husband who's been riding for you, I would think everybody would side with Papoose in regards to that. But I also I take the step of playing in the middle, because you don't never really know what's going on in people's personal lives outside of what you see that's being presented to you. Shoot, who knows? Pap could have been a serial cheater and anything, like doing Remy dirty behind the scenes. But the way that her relationship came out with Easy the Block Captain was less than desirable. Even if you guys are going through things in regards to your marriage and your personal relationship, don't you make these dudes sign NDAs?
Now, you do know that's speculation because neither one of them came out and said that.
Well, allegedly.
Right.
Okay.
So, are we just going to address the whole Papoose situation of him holding her down for 8 years when there are multiple women, regular women, that do that every day?
That's crazy. So, right. It's funny that you say that. So it's like, for women, we're expected to be the backbone, the stronghold for our family units or whoever we're with. So if a guy goes away and do a bid and stuff like that, we're expected to hold him down, don't deal with nobody, mess with nobody else, be loyal, be faithful, keep that thing on lock or whatever. And then that's just expected and applied, but there's no type of appreciation or acknowledgement of that. So when a guy does it, because it's very rare that a guy would do it for a woman and everything, he's the best thing in the world. Even if he is like, stepping out on the side, my chick booked for damn near a decade or whatever, I'm going to, do my thing. But how Papoose presented it, he never let his stuff be brought to light, even if he was dealing with somebody when she was locked down, or even if they're going through their, marital strife. It was never brought out to the public. It like came to a head when it was like Remy was exposed. And it's crazy because I feel like that she could have had a better handle on that in regards to the people that's around her.
Now, was she exposed, or they just put out dirty laundry?
I mean, you're exposing dirty laundry.
Okay. Well, in this entertainment business, I believe that married couples, they pretty much have the understanding. I know that you're going to go out there and do what you're going to do because you are who you are.
But don't bring no shame to our home and our unit. And marriage is a business too. Like, don't do anything that's going to mess up our business.
Right.
We're human. There's always room for human error and things like that. But I don't agree with them going back and forth on social media trying to expose each other and stuff like that. Who are you really doing this for? Are you doing it for yourself, or are you doing it to get what's the word, acknowledgement or some type of praise or attention from people that don't even know you personally? And I feel like that's messy. That's messy as hell, and it leaves a bad stain on the legacy that you created for yourself.
Now, the perception that we have of both of them is Black couple, Black love. So did we paint this picture, or did they paint that picture?
We painted this picture. Honestly, anything that we see for ourselves is a projection. Like, we're projecting our wants, our desires, and our hopes off onto these people that are on these public stages and things like that. So again, we don't necessarily know what's going on with them behind closed doors, but the narrative that we have is like, oh, okay, you guys are the epitome of a Black love power couple, especially in the entertainment industry. And so we assume that, y'all have a stronghold, so when something does fall apart, it's like you got two ways to go about it. Either you clean it up the cleanest way possible by being as quiet as possible, or you just go deeper down the rabbit hole and start exposing each other like we're 12 on social media. Like I don't believe in that. Everything is not for everybody, and I don't think what's going on in your household should be exposed to the masses like that.
I totally agree. Both of their side pieces are going public as well.
And I feel and the boxer chick, what's her name? Clarissa. Yeah. And it's just like what was the one screenshot that was like, I'm just looking for some time, some flowers and attention. So Pap finally posts a picture of him with her, what was it, like Friday? Because she had a match or something like that.
Okay.
And she looked so happy in that picture. I'm like, oh, you're finally getting the acknowledgement you want, but it's not the acknowledgement that you want, babe, because you got it on the aftermath or basically in a storm of this married couple going through it, and now it's exposed that you're his side piece. And Remy, you ain't had to post that lady whole number like that. Like, you could have blocked that out. Lady had to probably change her number.
I wonder how many people called.
I'm pretty sure she got her number changed by Saturday. Yeah.
Nobody wins when the family feud.
Exactly.
I believe that the children that's a part of this,
they're going to be affected. And then, they got to go to school and deal with their peers. And they're young, so it's like they don't have the mental capacity or tools to be able to deal with that. All they know is like, oh, wow, now my mom and my dad or whoever the case may be is feuding. And then now I'm going to be clowned on or bullied because of it. And you got to think about those things.
I agree. Have you ever been cheated on?
I'm sure I have. I'm sure I have. I mean, honestly, when I was younger, I used to think like, if you're with somebody, you're supposed to be super monogamous to them. But some of the things that I've seen and experienced, not even for myself, but for couples in general over the years, it's just like people step out on their vows and their covenant, and it doesn't make sense to me. Like, why sit up there and get into a union with someone just to go back out there to act single? For all that, be single.
Why do people cheat?
A lack of communication, a lack of actually trying to actually make things work and taking an easy way out. That's how I feel. Instead of trying to fix things or get to the root of whatever the issue may be, or even having some type of self-awareness and accountability of what's going on, it's always easier to find somebody else that doesn't know you or just accept you who you are because they don't know you.
I agree. But it's another hand to that. There are men and women that will have everything from their mate at home. Mm-hmm. They could be financially stable. Mm-hmm. They could give them, pleasure. They could be their support system, and they still do it.
Why?
Why?
Honestly, I can't say specifically why, but I will say it's because when you say that you're committed to someone, you have to make that full conscious decision within yourself that I decide that I'm going to be committed to this person, whether it's a marriage, whether it's a relationship, whether you're just getting into the relationship. So I'm not going to entertain anything outside of that, In the event that I feel like I'm going to entertain something like that, then you need to have a conversation with your counterpart to say, hey, how can we get back on track, strengthen our union or our unit versus actually opening the door up to anything and everything, and people will have everything that they need from their spouse and their partner, and they'll feel bored or discontent because they're probably bored or discontent within themselves.
Oh, I agree with that.
You're looking for validation from outside sources versus getting it internally or working with the person that you're with that knows you to help, build up that validation within each other.
Do you believe there are certain women that promote false advertisement?
Expound. Expound on promote false advertisement.
So they can promote this lifestyle of, hey, listen, being with me, I can be this, that, and that. And it can benefit you on these, on a certain perspective that would benefit the relationship. So when the man actually go and he break his walls down and he pursue this, and then when he get into that situation, it's not that.
It's kind of like the story of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden,
Okay.
basically, right? Whereas, like, God basically said, you can have anything in this garden, but don't eat the fruit of that tree, right? Now, Eve would have been forgiven for eating the fruit, because Adam is the head of their unit, basically. But because Adam ate the fruit too, now you're equally responsible. Now you both got to go. The woman would have been forgiven because, you're supposed to guide her in a way that she's supposed to go in regards to our patriarchal society. But because you did it too, it's like the blind leading the blind. So, you're going to have to blind your ass on out of here. So
Now, hold up. It's
he knew better. And even if she didn't know better, he knew better.
But she didn't tell him it was from that tree.
Do we know that specifically?
We don't. So if we just going by
based off of the story that was told,
she did not say it was from the tree. She
right.
didn't.
It was implied in the story, like, oh yeah, so I ate this apple. I know we weren't supposed to eat it, but oh my gosh, it's so amazing. You should try it. Adam had the choice at that point to say no. God said we're not supposed to eat this. You'll be forgiven if I don't feed into the temptation with you. But because he fed into the temptation with her, this is y'all punishment.
Now that leads me to my question. Should women be leaders?
Women are good leaders. I believe women. So in regards, women, yes, women should be leaders.
Well, let me rephrase
but there's
that question.
two sides. Yeah.
Should women lead men?
Women lead men in certain ways, like men lead women in certain ways. Not a woman doesn't have everything that a man has, and a man does not have everything that a woman has. They're literally halves of a whole. So when you come together, you present that whole, and whatever your strong suits is, you lead in that way. Whatever my strong suits are, I lead in that way.
Do you feel like it's still a man's world?
I feel like it is a man's world because we're still in a patriarchal society, basically. But there has been a breakdown of men over the past 30, 40, 50 years to make them more feminized, to basically disable them. Not all women are emotional. So people be like, oh, women are too emotional to lead and things like that. I think we are more mental people versus physical people. Men are physical creatures. Women are mental people. That's where emotions come into play. Men can get grunt work done, basically, like build this, put that together, things like that. Women are the people that say, okay, well, you need this piece to go for that piece, and this is why it goes together. So you take each portion and then you put it together as a whole. I feel like men and women in their own individual rights are great leaders, but we have to come together to be even more impactful leaders.
Today's women, not all,
Mm-hmm.
but today's women, they are playing a lot of the roles that men used to play.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that shift?
It's a lot of things, social, economical factors in regards to, we can even talk about how the government, especially for African Americans or urban people, broke down the family units to push men out the households to be able to easier influence women to say, hey, I'm a strong woman and I don't need no man. I think we all need each other. But because of that, then there's the school to prison systematic pipeline, which are taking our men and putting them in a prison, which are leaving women alone, basically. I believe men do have a greater factor in regards to creating broken homes because it takes two to tango, We don't impregnate ourselves and y'all can't get pregnant. So that's how it goes. But so it's a lot of number of different things. And now men are becoming more effeminate, basically, because I guess you could say that their power has been stripped from them, but has it necessarily been stripped from them from women, or has it been stripped from them systematically in regards to what society imposes as rules?
I agree. I gotta honestly say I agree with you. Um, today's men, a lot of them are fighting for custody for their kids.
More power to it.
You
Yeah.
know, once upon a time, the normal thing, if the woman don't want to be with you, she take the house, she take the money, she take the kids.
Now men are fighting back, and it's leveling the playing field. I believe what's fair is fair, whether you're a man or you're a woman. You know, I feel like men should fight for custody of their kids. If a chick is a deadbeat, take her to child support court. Just like if a dude is a deadbeat, take his ass to child support court, or do it, or you know what, say forget it. I'm gonna just do it for my child myself without the help of a man. Even not going into too much detail about mine. When my son's biological father decided he ain't want to take them roles, you know what I did? I zipped up my bootstraps and I did what I had to do without even having to worry about child support. And child support is another type of tool placed on us or society in whole by the government to set you up to fail. No, I'm not going to sit up here and stress out about what he ain't doing for his child. I'm just going to get it done. Period.
Do you believe that men fear strong-minded women?
I do. I mean, if you're a weak man, then you fear a strong-minded woman, you know, so you're always going to go on the path of least resistance. You know, if a woman is challenging you to be better and you're not ready to acknowledge that or even feel like you have the strength or the energy or the capacity to do so, you're going to go on a path of least resistance. You're going to go with someone that's going to follow you, even if it means following you into the frying pan or the fire. You know, but a strong-minded woman will keep you accountable, keep you on your toes. It's like, you know, pressure makes diamonds, basically. And if you can't stand that pressure, then you're just going to continue to be a cubic zirconia with lesser value.
Do you believe sex before marriage?
Yeah, actually, I do. You want to know why I say that? Because I'll say this, right? I do believe in like the 90-day rule and all that stuff, or how you set it up in regards to dating and courtship. I personally think it is like crazy to think that you'll be sexually compatible with someone that you've never dealt with after marriage. That's where a lot of cheating comes into place too, or annulments of marriages come into place too. In regards to a religious aspect, I do believe in that discipline, but let's be realistic. You have to know that you have a bond or a connection with somebody, or even can grow with them in regards to physical, mental, spiritual, emotional intimacy prior to marriage, to make sure to say, hey, you know what? This is where I want to go, you know, versus having to spend money later on trying to fix a mistake that you didn't fully vet. It's like anything. You go buy a car, right? Aren't you going to test drive the car? Aren't you going to look under the hood, make sure there ain't no check engine lights, there ain't no nuts and bolts missing before you just say that I'm going to sign this contract and drive off this lot with this car and now it's mine? Or are you just going to say, hey, I like that car and I'm going to take it now, not knowing what's wrong with it? It could be a lemon. It could be. And that's just my thoughts, you know.
How's your mental health?
My mental health is good. It's good. It's really good. It's better than what it was. I'll be honest with you. I want to say like maybe 3-4 years ago, I was going through a lot of things in regards to friendships, family, professional self, basically, and pressures in regards to society. Now I'm in a great space. I've shedded like a lot of friends or family or whoever that didn't serve a higher purpose in regards to growing together. If you're not helping tend to this garden or make these flowers grow, then you have to go, basically. And I've noticed that once I came more into myself, figuring out who I am as a person, how I see things and how things need to be done, you know, I say I don't need to hold on to things that are weighing me down. And ever since then, my energy levels has been great. My, my mental's been great. It's not always sun and roses and stuff like that, sun and flowers like that every day, but it is better than what it was. I had to take my energy back or power back that I gave to people that I would think that would be 100% for me like I was for them. that always led to disappointment, and then battling myself in regards to, oh dang, like now I'm beating myself up because this person isn't who I thought they was. I'm just making all the wrong choices. Woe is me. I had to learn, you had to go through these things to actually figure out who you are. And then once you get enough of something, then you're going to make the change, you know?
That's true.
So I made the change and it's been going great.
Now, have you conditioned yourself into being a problem solver for others?
I've always had that capacity, though. I used to be a huge people pleaser because I wanted people to like me, you know, people to understand me and get that, you know, I'm loyal, I'm genuine, charismatic, all those things. I'm there for you. If I could be a blessing to bless you, then I'll be so. But there's a fine line in between that. People will sit up there and take your kindness and all those things and bleed you dry or like use you until they can't use you anymore, and then just toss you to the side. But I think where the breaking point came at, or the line in the sand came at, is like, am I doing this for the benefit? Is there is it reciprocation in there, or is it not? Is this feeding the whole unit as whole, or is it just taking? And then once you figure out the pros and cons of any situation, you figure out the best course of action for yourself. So now I'm just focused on me.
When was the last time you was in love?
The last time I was in love, probably maybe a few years ago.
How was that for you?
I was, it was very, everything actually came to a head. I want to say at the beginning of this year, you know, again, I'm thinking I'm riding for people or loving people that love me the same way that I love them. And it wasn't the case. And that was very like eye-opening, heartbreaking and hurtful. But, you know, that pain came with a realization of saying that you can love somebody till the ends of the earth. But if they don't love themselves, then they're not going to love you properly, for one. For two, you have to always be mindful of the flags that people show, whether they're green or red or white flags and things like that. People, if you give people enough time, they'll tell you who they are and if they're for you or not.
Now, I've seen a surveillance video.
Okay, I think I know where we're going with this. All right.
And it was kind of crazy.
Okay.
Could we talk about that?
Yeah, go for it.
Now, in that video, it was a vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm saying this right, a navy blue Porsche.
Mm-hmm. Porsche Cayenne.
Okay. And it looked like it was being stolen.
It was stolen out of my garage in broad daylight on cameras. And so I guess it ties into that last question. The person that I was with, thinking that, you know, we're going down this path, even though you're going through hardships, I'm there for you. I got you. I'm going to be your backbone to help you get through this. This person gets out of jail. And I remember my son telling me this because it was like around my birthday. And I told them, I was like, you know, I was a little faded. It's my birthday. I wake up to mimosas and go to sleep to shots. But my son my son told me, he was like, yeah, this person said, they was like, it's people like you that got everything. And it's people like me that have nothing. Well, bitch, you've been booked for 5 years, so you just got to reestablish yourself. Like, and I'm sorry if I worked for everything that I've got, but this person stole my Porsche out of my garage. And maybe it was my fault because, you know, I was writing them letters, but I had the return address on it. But basically cased my home, stole my Porsche out of my garage, went on all types of high-speed chases with it throughout Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware. I got everybody ringing my line, thinking the Philadelphia Police Department is going to help me find my stolen car. They didn't do nothing. Actually, social media did it. So shout out to social media for that. Real talk. Like, that was the only way that I was able to locate this vehicle. But this person that I thought that I was going to be with for a very long time basically just showed me that they were an undercover hater, and it came to a head. Anything that happens in the dark or any way a person feels about you eventually reveals themselves. And that was really heartbreaking, but it recalibrated me to say that, you know, even though you have the ideologies or the wishful thinking of wanting this perfect family unit and stuff like that, you make sure that the person that you with isn't secretly in competition, envious or jealous of you. And so now that for me, it took for me, that meant staying ahead. I want to help people. If I had the opportunity to pull myself up out of bootstraps and, work for what I want, I'm going to make it easier for you so you don't have to go through what I went through. But some people don't see it like that. They see it like, let me just take what you got because I don't want to do the work for myself.
Now, you said your son said, you said that the guy that you was with, he said something, and in these words, people like you have everything, people like me have nothing.
Right.
Do you believe that it was a jealousy going on?
Yeah, and I didn't realize it. And it's crazy, I didn't realize it until actually going back in retrospect and thinking about everything in regards to interactions, even 5, 6, 7 years prior to that. Why do you keep, jumping into the fire when I'm literally here to help save you? Like, if God is placing somebody in your life to be a blessing to you, why are you going to smite God and try to smite that person too? So I had nothing but genuine intentions for that person, but they just took me as a lick, I guess.
When you love, do you love hard?
I do. And so now that's what I do. I love really hard. When I say I love somebody, I mean that from the depths of my soul. It doesn't have to be a romantic love. It could be a familial love, a friendship love, like, every day just love for humanity type love. But when I care, and I'm a Capricorn, by the way, so I don't never, go Caps, it's our season, but I don't never say anything I don't mean, and I'll never not do anything that I say I'm going to not say I'm going to do, basically.
Throughout the years, speaking of Capricorn, shout outs to you.
Go Caps. It's our season. We start the year, we end the year, y'all.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. When you take an interest into anything or anyone,
Mm-hmm.
are you the type of person that mold them into being something that you want them to be?
No, I'm the type of person, I have like a lot of experience and knowledge and a lot of things. I don't never try to make a person be who they don't want to be. I'm literally here to help you be who you want to be. And if I have the knowledge, tools, and resources to help you get there, I'm going to give it to you. But I'm also not the type of person to beat around a bush or sugarcoat things. I have to give things to you as I see them. I'm very blunt in that aspect. I'm blunt, but a little dense sometimes. But I'm blunt because it's like, life is not easy. You got to get A, B, C, D done. And however you go about it, you have these options to do it. My thing is, how can I help you achieve those goals that you want to accomplish? And some people don't, maybe some people are too sensitive for like a structured type of love or guidance or whatever. They feel like they need to be coddled or burped all the time. We're adults. I mean, the only people that get grace is children. After a certain age, there has to be accountability for self, and you have to get it done for yourself because nobody in this world is going to do it for you. People only want to work with or be around people that got things going on for themselves, that are working on themselves, because then they feel like it's beneficial for them to be around those same people, right? Nobody wants to be around or with anyone that they constantly have to coddle or carry and things like that, because then you're killing your own energy, you're burning your own self out.
Speaking of accountability,
Mm-hmm.
we all see the news.
True.
P. Diddy.
Yeah.
When you seen that surveillance video of him doing what he did to Cassie,
Mm-hmm.
what was your perspective on that? Like, bluntly honest.
Abusers are usually abused first. That's how they turn into abusers. But then if you have enablers around them, then they don't see anything wrong with their abuse because they're always just being yes man to death. In regards to Cassie, you lose them how you get them. He was with Kim Porter, and you even allegedly antagonize this woman in regards to their relationship, thinking that people always think that, oh, it'll never be me. But if you get with a cheater, and if you're a side joint or a side dude or whatever, and you get with a cheater, and now you're elevated to main joint, you don't think that your old position is not open? But on the flip side of that is that even if you do get elevated to that position, whether it's like side joint, side dude, or, you know, an abuse victim, no longer being abused, basically, unless a person is actually growing and changing for themselves to stop their toxic ways, basically, then the cycle continues. And then, of course, we as humans, or always have an option. We have free will. We're the only creature under God's umbrella that has free will. You either choose to stay with the abuse because A, you're getting you think you're getting some type of benefit out of it, or B, is that you don't know how to leave, or you don't have the strength or the community to help you get out of those type of situations.
Do you agree that she should have took a settlement of, I believe it was the number $30 million?
Well, he settled instantly with her. She was trying to solve this privately with him prior to her having to go to the public with it. And then as soon as it was publicized, less than 24 hours later, he settled with 30 million with her. But then that opened up the floodgates to all the other victims that are out there as well that we didn't even know about. The number of victims that they got out there is like, what is it? Like close to like
300.
Yeah, I don't think all of these people were victims. And then especially in regards to the Hollywood or entertainment scene or whatever, we all know what's going on. There's partying, there's drinking, drugs, whatever, debauchery, you know, hedonicism and things like that. And people go into these things willingly. Yes, I do believe that there are legitimate victims that had power basically being enforced over them because they didn't know how to get out of that. But some of these people, no, you knew what you, like Corinne Steffens said, whatever her new name is now. But as Corinne Steffens said, I knew what I was there for. Why would I sit up there and wait 20, 30, 40, 50 years later to say, oh, now I was abused or I was victimized? But 9 times out of 10, if you waited this long for the wheels to get turning, I'm pretty sure you were complacent. Unless you spoke out about it when it initially happened, I don't believe that you could possibly be a victim. Well, I'm not going to say you're possibly a victim. Sometimes it's hard for victims to speak out. I do agree with that, but I do still think that there are steps that need to be taken if you're a true victim to make sure that there's documentation or receipts that, hey, this happened to me and I might not have the resources to go up against this person, but you know, when I may get my due day of justice, at least I know I put these steps in place versus following behind a bandwagon of somebody else and saying, okay, now it's open money season.
The only part I don't respect on Cassie's part is it's not about her going public. It's not about her speaking her truth. I believe that men or women, you can never put no amount on abuse. It should never have a price sign next to it. It should only have repercussions and justice.
Right. Right. And then I'm pretty sure she was well within her statute of limitations, especially for all the claims that came out with him doing to her, to seek criminal retribution. My thing is, as a true blue victim, I want some type of legal justice in regards to that first, and then I'm gonna follow up with the civil justice on top of it, which tells me that you put a price that you allowed yourself to be abused and battered. Yes, I do believe you are a true victim in that sense, but you're putting money on yourself versus finding justice for yourself.
Right, and here's the thing: he didn't go to prison for that.
No.
He went for conspiracy.
Yep. Trafficking. Things of like that.
And they still can't prove any of that.
Right. But now you got all these people out there flooding the media, flooding the court system, saying, well, I was a victim too. Then why didn't none of you decide, outside of a few people that we did hear about, why didn't you guys go press criminal charges? At least get the police report in there. At least. Because everything is documented. Even if it didn't go anywhere because, you know, somebody's hands was greased and stuff like that, there's always a paper trail there.
You took the words right out of my mouth. Now we navigate to Mr. Sean Carter.
Mm-hmm.
He was just recently aimed at by a Jane Doe. Mm-hmm. She was 13 years old. That was about 20 something years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And she said that she was at a party.
First of all, how did you get to that party?
Well, she got to the party from the limo driver.
But no, okay. So how did she meet the limo driver?
She met him outside of, the parking area.
Right, but who got her there? Where did her parents know where she was at? Why don't you know where your 13-year-old child is at for her to be meeting limo drivers, to get picked up by a limo driver, to go to a party with the majority of adults where you know there's probably going to be drugs and alcohol? Parents actually peddle their children, like in the case of R. Kelly, parents literally giving their children to these people or whatever in the hopes of they'll get some type of money out of it, they'll get some type of fame out of it and things like that. So in regards to the Jane Doe, because I did hear that allegedly there's discrepancies in regards to that story, you have to look at the parents as well. Because why don't you know where your 13-year-old child is at to be abused?
She said after she got a drink from one of the girls that was walking around at the specific location, that she began to feel a little woozy, which led her to go to a bedroom and lay in a bed.
But my thing is, you're 13 years old. You know the difference of when someone's of age 21 or over to drink than someone that's under 21. So all the adults involved need to be held accountable in regards to that, if it's actually a true thing. I can't actually speak on Jay-Z in regards to his situation. I do feel like personally his name is just being attached because of the proximity of Sean Combs.
I agree. So recently, the Jane Doe came out after Jay-Z. He put out his public announcement that he want to go straight to to court.
Like his lawyer said, why didn't you press criminal charges first?
Yeah, Jay-Z wasn't having it.
Right.
He wasn't having it.
Right.
He was like, they're not going,
Right. Just because you see me at Hollywood parties or I've done music with Sean Combs doesn't mean that I was his partner in crime. And basically, you know how this saying goes, like, you're guilty by association. I feel like it's just one of those things.
She came back out and said, she retracted her story and said,
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure. Right.
Now, after she publicly retracted her story, what are the consequences? Should there be consequences for that?
Yes, because that's defamation of character. If you want to put out salacious content out there about me that can potentially affect my earnings and things like that, now I need to be able to countersue you too in regards to putting out these claims, because now you're affecting me in a negative light publicly and professionally. Kind of same thing with like the whole T.I. and Tiny Harris thing with their friend, what's her name?
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
Yeah, right. So where she made all these claims and said they were like holding women by gunpoint, raping and drugging and stuff like that. And then it turns out her claims was false, basically. They're absolutely right to countersue her. So you put out these things out here about me. You're the reason why our show got off the air and making us lose revenue and money, putting shining a bad light on us. So now we need to go after you to recoup the potential earnings that we lost because of that. Why sit up there? Like, I think there has to be a consequence for lies. If you lie and you're exposing a lie, you shouldn't be able to walk off on the sunset. No, the person you lied against, or tried to bring down, should have their due day in court, just like you tried to have it off of them.
Now, the comments in the public, they are saying, well, what Sean is going to get off of her? I say
it's the principle of the thing. Right. Sometimes it ain't the thing itself, it's the principle. I don't care if you only had a quarter to your name, basically. No, we're going to make sure that I have my due day in court just like you tried to have it off of me. And if you can slander me, then let me come back and refute that with the truth and actually get it out there.
Do you feel that it's a target towards Black successful men?
Yes, I do. I feel like in regards to our society, Black males can only, it's like a glass ceiling. And it's even the same way with Black women, Black males can only go but so high, but I'll be damned if you try to get higher than other people. Now we got to try to knock you down a peg. And this whole thing with P. Diddy actually started when he sued his, his Deleon, is that the liquor name?
Deleon, yeah, it was the liquor.
Yeah, once he's decided to try to sue them for a breach of contract, especially with him working with with them, with Ciroc for all those years, that's when the windfall came. I don't really actually think that it had any, that's when the indictments and everything else came. It
Right.
wasn't even a Cassie thing, but basically, we don't want you to get no higher than what you are. You're always going to be considered a second-rate citizen in our society, especially the way slavery played out. How those of weaker constitution has to band together to hold those of a higher constitution down. And history is only determined by the victor, of course. So if you take all these small and weak people and you band them together to make them a giant, then now you got a Goliath, which is those smaller people going against David.
Hey, Bill Cosby. One thing that I'm realizing about all of the powerful black men that's behind bars or was behind bars, I realized they're quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Cosby not once said nothing. P. Diddy is not saying nothing.
Mm-hmm.
They're quiet. Do you feel like they're threatened behind the scenes, like something is going on behind the
Yes,
scenes?
and I think it really is like a life or death type of situation thing. Even with the whole Bill Cosby, what was he? It was stated that he was trying to buy an NBC network.
Right.
Oh no, we can't allow you to do that. And but you know how rubbing elbows behind closed doors go too. I know there's like a boatload of secrets that can be exposed. Do you want to keep your life, or do you want your family to keep their life or their comfortability? So you're going to bite the brunt. You're going to make a sacrifice in regards to that. So now you're in jail, and now you're basically have a gag against you to keep you from speaking out. That can actually expose even more powerful people that will actually break down the fabrics of society in itself. And it's easier to target, I feel like, well, how it's been played out, to target black males in regards to position of power, because, if we target them, then we can stop them from exposing other people of higher positions of power. So let's try to go after what we consider quote unquote low-hanging fruit.
Do you believe that Sean Combs have a chance of coming home?
I mean, if history has told us anything, he'll come home. He'll probably come home in less than 10 years. It'll kind of be like a Bill Cosby type of thing. He'll definitely, I can only guess that he'll get time served, because it's like you're denying all his motions for bonds. They even did the same thing with Tory Lanez and the whole Megan Thee Stallion situation. He'll come home, but he'll come home as a marked man with staying against them as well. And he'll never be at the height of power influence that he once was. And it's crazy because I say earlier, like I said, abusers were once victims. So of course there had to be abuse there with him where he was once a victim to actually turn into an abuser. And then what abusers will do too is, especially if they know that they have you hanging by the strings or whatever, they'll give you enough rope to hang yourself, especially if you decide to go against whatever agenda that they want to put forth. So now we got to make an example out you to keep other people from trying to follow those same footsteps. Don't try to be more than what we want you to be. And I think that whole thing, that whole institution needs to be broken down. It needs to have a tower moment and be rebuilt in the proper ways. Are we actually going to get that in his lifetime? I don't know. It would be nice to see.
Do you believe that black people, when they get in position in life, that they assume that they have a certain amount of power?
Yeah, it's like a era of authority. Now, once you hit certain levels of life, it awards you opportunities that lower levels did not award you. I think that we need to be more conscientious of what we hold in regards to the levels of power that we have when we get to newer levels, because you know what they say, the bigger you are, the harder that you fall. If you do things in a way that makes sure that you can safeguard yourself, also have humility and grace about yourself, and don't fall into temptations the way people will want you to, you'll be fine. And even if there's some things you can't necessarily get around and things like that, don't put yourself in a position to be a fall guy for somebody else, to basically be ostracized or have a stain against your name like that. Because again, everything always comes full circle, and then your deeds are weighed in regards to their good fruit and their bad fruit, basically. And sometimes you're not even taking a fall for just the things that you did. You're taking a fall so someone else doesn't have to. So be very mindful when you get in positions of power, how you present yourself, how you go about handling your business, things like that, who you associate with, who your circle is. If your circle is always enabling you but not keeping you accountable, you need to did that circle.
For yourself,
Mm-hmm.
if you're walking down a dark block, doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter what neighborhood it is, you're walking down a dark block, would you be in fear of your life if you see a white person walking up towards you with a hoodie?
Man, I would, if I'm walking down a dark block, I don't care if you white, black, purple, green, yellow, Indian, whatever you are. I don't even care if you're disabled, you know. I would be in fear if you're presenting yourself in a fearful way, not off of a preconceived notion or a stereotype that's basically been projected out there to us. But if you're coming at me like formidable and brooding, like, oh my gosh, this person is like, look like they're about to do something to me. Yeah, I'm gonna be in fear of my life, but I'm not gonna be in fear of something based off of a stereotype. I'm the type of person where it's like I gotta make sure this is what it is first before I like go like run left or duck right, if that makes any sense.
Can you work good with your family?
I don't. So we have some families that really do work well with each other. Well, let's take in Hollywood. So you have the Wayans family and their generations of comedians and actors, and we don't know what's going on in their private life because they keep their family stuff inside the family. So we're still going to produce the best possible productions we produce, and we have that positive image about us because we're not out here blasting our personal information all over social media. We understand that even though we're family, our family has a legacy goal within themselves. So we all have our individual parts to work towards that goal. So you can work with family if you have the mindset and the structure and the foundation to say, hey, this is what we got to do. At the end of the day, we're family. We can't get rid of each other. But you can't work with family members that are lazy or entitled, that feel like, oh, if you make it, I'm going to just live off of you for the rest of my life. That's not how that works. That's not how it should work at all.
Speaking of working,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people don't know we have a history.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
We were starting a company called Spectrum Films.
Mm-hmm.
I reached out to you,
Mm-hmm.
and everything was good. We was getting the ball going,
Yeah.
and I take full responsibility and accountability for me. I believe I dropped the ball on you.
Why you say that?
Because I didn't utilize you to the full capacity, and you was on standby. You was ready to go. You was doing everything. From your side of the court, what happened?
I think, and I appreciate that. So taking that accountability. I think you put me on standbys because whatever salacious rumors or people hating going on in the background was saying. So, people will sit up there and feed you falsehoods and things like that because, they don't want to see me actually rise to the pinnacle or work with you guys to get everything out there. So what did I do? You're a powerful person when a group of people got to band together in order to try to take you out. And of course, and I get where you're coming from in regards to that aspect because you don't know what's true and you don't know what's false, basically. But for me, and especially how we initially met and everything, and telling you my story, like, hey, this was going on, that's going on, or whatever, but this is my part. I own my things 100% full to the nature. You have to make a decision that's of the best for your company, so I think the standby went from there or whatever, and you basically just trying to figure out what's real and what's fake.
I agree, and that's where I was at, and I'm like, I think for me, I was like, okay, I don't know what's true, what's not.
Some people are very like, what's the word? Convincing and their lies, but time tells all things. And so then we got to a point where time told all things. So it was like, oh, Amber, you weren't on no BS.
Right.
I'm like,
Because
sometimes you got to see it. Exactly.
Amber, you do modeling.
Yes.
Okay. Now, what category do you do modeling in?
So I am a plus size runway model.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
And like, is that like, because I know the models, in the well, I ain't gonna say Hollywood, but I know the models, they're skinny, they're tall. Like, is it a lane? Is it a market for plus size women on a popular level as the slim size one?
More so than now than previously. I appreciate society now being really more inclusive because modeling always promoted unhealthy standards in regards to what a woman should look like, how a woman should be perceived, basically, to the point where it's like girls are literally sitting up there killing themselves to have these thick, thin figure hanger type bodies that is not necessarily good for their constitution. And I've always been on I don't think I've ever been anything smaller than maybe a size 8, basically, right?
Okay.
So for me, I think coming into the modeling world, and I came into modeling, fashion, and runway when I was 13 years old. So I worked with John Robert Powers. I worked with Tyson Beckford's mom's management group, all types of stuff. I worked with a lot of different companies, even had a chance to apprentice for like a lot of top brands in New York as well. And for me, my saving grace that even though I'm not your norm of what a size 0 model is, I come with strong runway experience. I come with etiquette training, poise, and things of that nature. And so I know how to make things shake. And then I also know how to command a presence when gracing a runway. So that's been my saving grace in regards to that. But will plus size models ever be realistically at the same playing field as what you would consider a traditional supermodel? I think we have a ways to go. I don't think so, but as time goes on, we are being more inclusive, but I also need us to really promote what is a healthy standard in regards to a body type. Just because you call yourself a plus size model, honestly, a traditional plus size model is anyone that's from a size, we'll say anywhere between a size 8 to 10 through a size 14. Maybe 16, not the 20s, the 30s, the 4XXs. I mean, it's not saying there's nothing wrong with that and everything like that, but I don't think that's a realistic or even a healthy standard, just like the stick thin, figures are. It's an extreme. So everything needs to fall within a certain, a spectrum in regards to size, body image, body type, and things like that. Don't promote obesity, but also don't promote anorexia or bulimia. Don't promote body distortions. And I think that's where a lot of the trends that we see nowadays coming from, chicks getting BBLs or taking Ozempic or sitting up here just being like super overweight because it's like, yo, it's my body, my choice. Yeah, it's your body, your choice, but do you want to live and actually be a positive influence, or do you want to cut your time short?
Instagram models. I mean, when I go on my Instagram, whether it's my personal or the business, all I see is naked women, BBLs, big women, small women. I mean, it looks like a corn site.
Right. And that comes from the influence of music, like how we was trying to kind of like talking about like the Lil' Kims of the world or things like that or whatever. What is the easiest way to garner attention? Let me just expose, because the majority of people, males, and we'll even say females too, are instant gratification, physical viewing creatures, things like that. How can I get my numbers up? Let me just expose myself, or like, sell my soul off in regards to the form of my body and things like that. I don't really necessarily consider Instagram models actual models. Models have standards that they need to be upheld to, whether you're doing runway, print, editorial, commercial, things like that. That's not what they're doing. They're literally promoting sex in regards to the way of to garner attention. What have you done? Have you been on magazine covers? Have you hosted fashion events? Have you walked runways? Have you done New York, LA, ATL, Paris, Milan Fashion Week? Have you been on covers of small time or even big time magazines? Just because you post a cute picture with the angles doesn't necessarily make you a model.
And
you can be an influencer because you are influencing people, yeah. But are you a model? No.
Do that give modeling a bad name?
Yes and no. Because again, the standards for modeling is not what they do on social media, like the OnlyFans girls or the bikini girls that just want to like show off their curves or whatever. It gives you more like stuff that you got to weed through to actually get to the gems, like dirt you got to actually weed through to actually get to the root of what's actually good and what's actually rotten.
If a kid go on Instagram, they fake the age just to create an account, and they get under the influence that, hey, listen, I can be a model. I don't have to go through the steps.
Let me say something about that too. Playboy bunnies were the original Instagram models.
Wow.
Think about it. They never graced runways or actually did things in regards to upholding a standard. They were literally just sex symbols or sex bunnies to be put out there to garner instant attention and gratification. And then now with the trends of social media versus it being in a magazine that you get subscriptions for once a month or whatever, now everything's on your Explore For You page, basically.
Wow.
If that makes any sense.
That make a lot of sense. That make a lot of sense.
So would you consider a Playboy bunny a model? Like a runway model, a high fashion model, a supermodel, a print couture, anything like that?
I would consider her a sex model.
Or an adult entertainer.
An adult entertainer. I mean, when I'm looking on social media, it's hard to separate the two because everyone is doing it.
I'm loving this conversation. And I feel like we're just getting warmed up too, but I'm sorry, but let's go.
Yeah. So a lot of them, they are, they know what the men want. They know that we gonna watch it. We gonna, the things that I see on Instagram, is an adult site.
Right.
And
it's the algorithms too or whatever.
Right.
But with that saying, like, because I don't want to lose this thought or whatever, what men want or what people want in regards to saying, oh, you're physically appeasing and things like that. But at the end of the night, are you going to bed feeling proud of the things that you did, or are you causing more insecurities for yourself? Because now you feel like you got to keep upholding this standard that you put yourself in versus people actually getting to know you for who you are in regards to your actual art or who you are as a person, as a personality. They don't care about that no more, because now it's just like your body is what you're presenting yourself with. You're not presenting your mind, you're not presenting your craft, you're not presenting your creativity. You're just literally pushing, hey, this is my body, this is what I got. I'm always a big proponent of saying brains over beauty. Beauty and looks fade, but your brain, your character, and your person, who you actually are, lasts forever.
Last question. What is one thing that you would tell your younger self?
One thing I would tell my younger self, shine, girl. Because the people that are there for you, or the people that are actually in your corner, is going to take you in all your glory. Don't ever dim yourself down to try to make other people feel comfortable, because they're not going to respect that. They're going to see it as saying, hey, oh, you're just impressionable enough for us to get what we need out of you. No, live for who you are and what you want without worrying about what anybody else thinks. The real gravitates to it, and the fake will fall off. And that's one of the best gifts that you could ever have.